What's up everyone, and welcome to the first Company of Heroes 2 analyses that I've done in a very long time. It's been probably 3 or 4 months since I've gotten a chance to cast a game. I did take quite a long break from playing during the last patch. I just wasn't really a fan of the balance or the play style. This patch turned out to be actually a lot better than I thought it would be, and I've been enjoying the game again, and finally found some time on a weekend to do a little cast here. I am working full-time again, so I probably can't put out as many of these videos as I would like to, although I will try and start doing about one a week. But anyways, without further ado, let me introduce the players. Although I don't think either of them need any introduction. We all know VonIvan, consistently one of the top 1v1 players. He participates in just about every tournament he gets a chance to, which is awesome. Very good thing for the community being active in tournaments like that. And he always has his quote-unquote unbeatable strats TM registered trademark of VonIvan. And his opponent today will be the leader. I believe he's the leader of the Hearts of Iron clan. I'm not exactly sure how to say his name. I've always called him PaulaD. I've seen people call him PaulaD. I'm gonna call him Paul because, like, there's a period. It's like Paul period A period D. So yeah, I'm just gonna call him Paul. He's currently, I think, the rank 1 player with 3 factions as of the casting of this video, including Soviets, with something like a 60-61 game win streak, more than a 50 game win streak with Soviets, which is very impressive to say the least. I know Paul and Ivan have played each other before. I did catch a very small snippet of this game on Ivan's stream while I'm in between queues of my own, game queues of my own, but I've only seen a few minutes, so as usual, everything that I'm seeing will be happening for the first time for me, and just like for anyone who didn't see the game on stream or hasn't already seen the replay. So we see Ivan has gone ahead and picked the Close Air Support Commander, Close Air Support Doctrine. It's been a very popular Ostheer doctrine recently. Korean Army used it to really good effect in I believe it was one of the Star-Crossed, or the most recent Star-Crossed tournament that Romeo had. There was a super intense game of DBMB versus Korean Army in that tournament where the Korean Army held out for some crazy amount of time, you know, just with Tier 1, Tier 2, and all of these off-map abilities, of course, redistributing his fuel to munitions, making great use of all of those strafing runs. So Ivan has picked a little bit of an interesting choice here on Angoville, in that he's the Ostheer player, and he's playing more in the city side. I call the east side of Angoville kind of the city side. There's a bunch of houses over here, whereas this is more the farmlandy area. Is usually what I refer to as west side. It's very open. Generally, when I'm playing Angoville as Ostheer, which hasn't been too much since this is one of the newer maps in the patch, but I have played it a fair number of times, I really like to focus more on the open side over here. I like having 2 MG42s and using all that open space to just lock it down, kind of camp it until I can get my half-track out. Khan's Uraying into this MG, catching it not picked up. This is another reason I really like having 2 machine guns, is that they can cover each other, and that way it becomes much harder to flank them when you have, you know, overlapping fields of fire. Anything that gets in between the fields of fire is pretty much going to get instantly suppressed, and anything else is just going to have way more of a nightmare of a time flanking those MGs. Another interesting choice from Ivan is going double mortar very early on. It's interesting to me because Paul hasn't showed anything except for conscript. I mean, we know he's gone with a very old school 5 conscript opening. I've seen a lot more players doing like 3 and 4 cons and then 2 flamer engineers these days. But yeah, 5 cons kind of being the very old school, safe Soviet opening. It's very flexible. It used to scale better into the late game than it does now. Although, I do believe Paul's plan will probably be to play tank hunters, also known in recent times as dank hunters. Paul using a... that sandbag is kind of in an awkward spot because Ivan can later use it to easily defend his cutoff here. Normally, I like this kind of sandbags. This one's more of a better style, but still not great. Where you want to place it to where, like, if you're going to be attacking this point from this direction, you would want your sandbag to be maybe here or, like, over here, so that it can protect you from an attack coming from this way without necessarily providing them much cover if you're coming in these ways. Anyways, Paul does make excellent use of these sandbags always, something a lot more Soviet players are catching on to, just how good of cover those sandbags provide, especially against the suppression of machine guns. So Paul has extremely excellent map control in this early game. He's already up to 186, 87 fuel with 36 coming in per minute, which is quite a lot of fuel for sure. Ivan ran for the cutoff here. Unfortunately, it's actually not a cutoff move because Paul has so much more of the map that, you know, everything's still connected in here. It was a good idea from Ivan, though. So yeah, see, Paul, at 6 minutes in, starts building Tier 2, already has enough fuel to put up Tier 3 or Tier 4. He has chosen Tank Hunters. I don't believe I mentioned that as soon as he picked it up. Kind of a really slow early game here, actually. But yeah, he's pretty much en route for like a 9 or 10 minute T-34. I mean, even if he built Tier 3, he'd have 40 fuel left over, and then in another minute he'd be up to 80, which means he could get the T-70 out as soon as the Tier 3 is up, or he could go ahead and get a T-34 76 out. Choosing, though, instead to go for a Tier 4, most likely for a Katusha, which definitely seems like a good idea to me. Von has already shown that he has 2 mortars, and he's seen at least 1 MG. I don't know if the second MG has been revealed yet. I don't see where Ivan's army is just camping away. But yeah, a Katusha would be, or presumably will be, an excellent choice against this very static gameplay that Ivan is opting to go for. I find it, you know, interesting that Ivan, he doesn't want to push for this. I have a little engagement going on over here. These Grens not in cover are almost surely going to lose to these cons at close/mid-range. Ivan really needed to have backpedaled behind here, maybe. He is moving up on this side with pretty much the Great Wall of China of sandbags over here. The good news is that Von does have 2 mortars and is shelling away at that. He'll have to retreat this squad very soon. He needs to retreat that right now, actually. He does not want to lose that LMG Gren that he... Oh! He lost the Gren, but he's going to save the LMG. I believe he lost this Gren squad, too. So that's... Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had 4 Grens a minute ago. There's at least 1 Gren squad down. A little bit lucky that he got to save his LMG there. Definitely would not want that in the hands of Paul. And Paul, we can see, is already bringing a Katusha in. Gonna hit the field around 9 minutes, which is a crazy fast Katusha. It reminds me of the days... Oh, Paul making a really nice move here. Ivan abandons these houses for 1 second, and Paul gets 2 con squads in there. Definitely going to force these mortars to retreat. He at least needs to pack them up. I don't really know what he's going for, keeping them here. Maybe he doesn't really care if they get decrewed, although I would. Okay, he's retreating them now. He must have been busy microing elsewhere, like capping all of this stuff, probably. Paul won't really be able to keep the house, though. Ivan does have flamers coming up, and these mortars are going to be able to set back up very soon and just start barraging those houses. It's definitely a good move by Paul, though. And as soon as the mortars start firing again, we'd know that Katusha's on the field, and I'm sure it's already moving into place to fire. Oh, that's a super close range barrage on that machine gun. Instantly wipes it out. No hope. Rest in peace. That poor machine gun crew. I don't even know if their bodies are there. I think one of their bodies is there, just in pieces, literally. Those poor guys. So the Katusha claims its first 3 victims. I don't think Paul's going to be able to pick up that MG42. This is what I was talking about, those overlapping fields of fire. This MG gets to cover that MG, meaning that even though Paul.D crewed it, he's not actually going to get a chance to pick it up, which is very good for Ivan. And the last thing you want as an Ostheer player is a 6-man MG42 crew shooting at you. And Ivan's making a lot more progress on this side now. He picks up his own fuel, picks up his munitions in the corner, and making a move for this other area to, I guess, hopefully for him, pick up that second VP to take the drain off of himself, put it onto Paul. So the static gameplay paying off a little bit here against all of these conscripts. And the bad news for Ivan is they're all running around with PTRSs, so we'll see. Those machine guns doing great work, suppressing all of those cons. They're going to get flanked here, though. I think Ivan senses it coming. He's already retreating one of his MGs, and he's repositioning the other. This mortar a little bit out of position again. The MG's going to try to set up, but it's setting up in the wrong way, which I've noticed my machine guns have done this for like the past patch or two now, which is a little bit annoying. I think it went along with like relics, so they increased the machine guns like auto responsivity or whatever word they used, to where like the machine gun's supposed to be smarter, but to me they felt a lot more dumb. Katusha firing again, going for the house. VonIvan gets out immediately and retreats. Does a really good job of mitigating the damage. Only took one model loss from that Katusha. These P-Grens doing work on that con squad. I don't think it's going to make it home. Drops 2 PTRSs. A very nice pickup from those P-Grens already. Wiping one of Paul's squads. I don't think Ivan should pick up the PTRSs with his P-Grens. I think he should try to save it for one of his Gren squads, maybe even his PaulaD squad. He definitely doesn't want to let Paul pick it back up, though. The main reason I don't think that he should put on his P-Grens is you want those P-Grens to be very mobile, and STG-44s are already very good weapons. Not that Car 98s are bad, but the STG-44s are very deadly, and you want to be able to let the P-Grens chase squads down, whereas, you know, obviously the PTRS cannot fire on the move. Alright, so Paul was thinking about picking up an Su-85, wisely choosing not to do so. There is pretty much no reason to pick up an Su-85 since, you know, he's only seen armor from Ivan, hasn't even picked up a half-track yet, or even a 222. I think it would be worth Ivan investing in a half-track, but maybe, ooh, almost grenades himself on the retreat there. That would have been really brutal. You know, it's not that much fuel to grab a half-track. That was a disgustingly good mortar shot. Holy cow, 4 cons dead in that. One might die to the MG fire on retreat. Oof, barely makes it out. Sliver of health. Ivan really needs to retreat the machine gun though. So he's popping. Is he popping? Yeah, popping the, what I call the laser beams. That one ability. Doing a lot of damage on that squad in the house. This Gren squad's super low though. Really needs to retreat that, get it home, get it healed up. Katusha firing again. Super close range shot. Kinda misses the Grens, although Ivan really needs to move out of the area of fire. I think he's just barely out of it. Those Grens are just kinda standing there praying for their lives and hoping that a rocket doesn't come and one-shot them all. Planting some S-mines here. It's an interesting spot. Ooh, he did put a teller there. I was going to say I would have put S-mines there, but he already put a teller there. He probably doesn't want Paul to run in there with the sweeper and see the teller. These mortars are slowly but surely just really paying off for Ivan. Let's see, that one's up to 8 kills, that one's up to 4, so 12 kills on the 2 mortars, and just forcing, you know, just forcing that bleed, forcing those retreats, helping you win the timing battle. You know, if your troops are on the field more often than his troops, then you're going to probably have greater map control, and we're really seeing that from Ivan right now. If we look at the tactical map, he's got this whole sector locked down. Another Katusha barrage coming in though. Paul opting to go for double Katusha. I think he's shooting this, I don't know if he thought the Pyos were there or if he just wants to kill some of these S-mines. Not exactly sure why he was doing that. P-Gren's just getting straight sniped by those PTRSs. Oh, what a rifle nade. What a mortar shot. That was a big pickup. That's the second con squad that Von has wiped. So now the squads lost, I believe, are even. 2 for each, 2 Grens for Von and 2 cons for Paul. Big AT strafe coming in here, slowing Paul down on his capturing of that sector. Ivan does finally have healing up. I feel like it took him a while to get that up. Maybe I didn't notice it sooner. These LMG Grens, though, are just doing a wonderful job. And Paul not... Oh, I thought he was not going to dodge that rifle nade. I think Ivan wanted him to back up into it. Katusha shooting again over at these Grens. Gets 1 model. Ivan instantly retreats. Good reactions. 1 model lost on a Katusha barrage is not that bad. This nade is huge. Could blow up the teller, too. I don't know if he meant to blow up his teller. I guess it would have been a wipe if Paul hadn't have dodged it, which may have been worth it. That's a lot of munitions just to wipe 1 engineer squad, though. His mortars railing in on this con squad. Rifle nade doing a lot of damage, forcing another retreat. These P-Grens are probably going to pick up a couple of model kills on our retreat. They have to walk past the S-mines, but I don't think there's actually any more S-mines there, just that sign. So I'm going to switch over to Paul. Let's look at his map control. He doesn't even have a single fuel under his control anymore. These Katushas at 6 and 0 kills. This one might start picking up some kills, though. I think he killed 2 models there, 1 to 2 models there. Oh, that was a very nice shot. Decrews that 1 MG, forces the other one to pack up and retreat. So that was 4 kills, up to 10 kills on his 2 Katushas, which still isn't that great considering how quickly they came out. I don't think he's actually even wiped a squad with them. Airstrike just being frustrating, forcing Paul to retreat again, letting Ivan keep complete control over this side of the map. Paul really having a lot of trouble grabbing his fuel back, and is capped 2 VPs to 0, so he's draining pretty quickly. That was some crazy flame crits right there. Those poor P-Grens resting in peace. So I think Ivan is a little bit behind in the squad wipe game in that he's lost 3 squads now, and one of them being a P-Gren squad, which is, very expensive squad. Definitely not allowed to lose P-Grens. The good news for him, he didn't have Shreks, so it's not as devastating as a loss as it could have been. Another Katusha barrage coming in here. Ivan just instantly retreating. Very good decision. There's no reason to keep your Grens in that fight. You risk losing your whole LMG Gren squad to capture a point for a few seconds, because you know that as soon as you if your Grens were to die, nice rifle nade. Unfortunately, it barely misses. As I was saying, if you lost your LMG Grens or are forced to retreat them at a later time after taking bleed, Paul's just going to pick this sector back up. So you're basically trading, the chance of losing an entire LMG squad for a couple fuel and a couple munitions. Just never worth it. And it looks like Paul is actually just going to give up on the other side of the map. This MG doing a really good job at suppressing these conscripts. Unfortunately for Ivan, he doesn't have his second MG over here. If he had an MG facing this way, could have prevented the flank on this. Another strafing run coming in, forcing these long retreats. I think he could have probably not retreated that squad since he had the strafe coming in. Ivan does just have a ton of munitions, though, which is really good for him. He just used a strafe. He just popped his redistribute resources, but he's back up to 324 munitions, and he's gonna activate that JU-87 AT strafe, which I think we've all seen how potent that can be on half a CP. Paul will have to be extremely careful with his Katushas. Be very mindful of if Ivan recons them. Very nice dodge on that rifle grenade there. Good retreat from here from Ivan. These Vet 3 Grens just at max range going to town on this blob of conscripts. This rifle nade coming in! Oh! What a rifle nade! He needs to retreat, though! Oh, man. That squad was doing so much work. That Vet 3 squad instantly dies to the Katusha fire. That's the kind of Katusha shots that you need to get. Those are the things that can turn the game around. The Katusha's up to 14 kills now, but more importantly, wiping a Vet 3 squad. Ivan does not like that. He wants to strafe these Katushas. They're getting a little bit caught up on themselves, but they barely manage to dodge that AT strafe. That's what I was talking about. Paul needs to be extremely aware of where those AT strafes are coming in so that they're not able to pick up his Katyushas. That's probably going to be the only thing that IVAN will ever have access to that can kill the Katyushas. He could go for kind of a YOLO 2-2-2 and send out a suicide run. The 2-2-2 actually kills Katyushas quite quickly. Would be hard on this map though. Katyusha's firing in here on this machine gun. What is this Katyusha doing? It's running into the Katyusha fire of its allied Katyusha. It is going to take out that machine gun, but that was weird. I've been suppressing all of these squads, 5 squads from 160 munition AT strafe, just completely punishing the fact that Paul was blobbing in that case. I mean, IVAN pays 60 munitions to force all of that to retreat, and it just lets him have access and control over, 90% of the map. Paul has really just this one point. I don't think IVAN's capped these munitions, which I really think he should because he's playing such a munitions-heavy build. But, I mean, look at Paul's income. He has 10 fuel and 11 munitions per minute, and IVAN's pretty much rolling in infinite fuel and munitions. This Katyusha barrage looks like it's going to be a little bit off target, dodges that rifle nade, and oh, he actually brings his own engineers to half health. He's barraging behind and picks up that squad. That's another LMG Gren squad down to the Katyusha's. S-mines going off over here. I think, did a PTRS activate it or something? A lot of fighting happening over here though. Let's see, IVAN, was that a scouting run? He's bombing something. Is he bombing the Katyusha? I think he is. Paul doesn't realize. He only now realizes. He actually bombed. Holy cow, I wonder how many kills that was. He bombed his base. He definitely got an engineer squad. He must have gotten a con squad too. Or 2 con squads maybe. Paul's down to only 3 squads of cons and 1 squad of engineers. That was a huge bombing run. Luckily for Paul, one of the PTRS has dropped, so he can pick that up on whatever squad he replaces with it. And he actually managed to steal one of Von's mortars, which is a pretty big pickup for Paul. And that, those mortars were giving him such a headache. What is this Katyusha doing again? He's just like been driving his Katyushas into his own Katyusha fire, which makes no sense. Made a little bit of micro mistakes here. And actually Von, wow, these P-Grens, hero P-Grens, get to pick off that mortar, giving Von a chance to recrew it. And still, Von just has control of well, not literally the entire map, but pretty much the entire map. Paul is managing to pick up this fuel, although I think these cons are about to come under mortar fire. That they are. He still can probably cap it. He should stop building that sandbag, though. Or I guess maybe he can finish it and get into the green cover. Katyusha firing over here. T-34 pushing in on these Pyos. Paul managed to pick off that Ostheer mortar squad. I lost my train of thought there for a second. I thought IVAN might be strafing the Katyushas. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss that. These P-Grens in green cover. Well, they think they're in green cover. Really, they need to be on this side of the truck to actually get the benefit of the green cover from those PTRSs, but definitely just pretty much slaughtering those cons. I do think IVAN needs to go ahead and invest in some packs now. He didn't need them up until now, because up until now, Paul just had those Katyushas, and packs are pretty much just dead weight against caddies. The pack is never going to shoot it, and it's just going to die to it. Von doing a good job of capping up this side of the map again. Has complete infantry dominance over Paul. This T-34, though, could prove to be a bit of a nuisance. Paul's Katyusha firing on this VP. Look at this. What is he doing again? This is the 3rd time this has happened. He just almost dies to LMG fire. I mean, that's like almost a whole free rank of vet. These Grens have 0 kills and they're almost already vet 1 because they're getting to shoot that Katyusha. I mean, if he's not careful, he's seriously going to lose the Katyusha to something like a Faust or just P-Gren STG-44s. He really needs to retreat. This squad, I don't know why he's staying there. Alright, it looks like that's going to make it home. Von recunning, looking for a good spot to strafe. I don't think he sees anything that he wanted. T-34 going to force those Pios off again. As I was saying, you know, Von... Oh, bombing run. Where's the bombing run? I'm turning off Fog of War. Is it going to the base? No. It was going here. Slightly missed. He tried to get him on retreat, though. If he had timed it a little bit better, he could have gotten it. That would have been... that would have been crazy. That would have been major props for Von to predict the retreat. This Katyusha, man, I wonder if Paul has that bug. I've heard there's a bug where your units, they'll get like stuck just doing one order constantly. Oh, this one's doing it now. Is he trying to scout for it? Is that what he's doing? He's scouting for his Katyusha barrage to make it more accurate or something? That's the only thing I can think of. Either the bug or he wants to do that. Paul does reclaim this Gnatwerfer. I'll try to say the German word for it. The G43, although then he runs it straight into a Gren squad. It might crush everything. Von really needs to retreat that. Really needs to retreat. He goes for the Faust, but doesn't get it. I think he really should just instantly retreated that squad. I guess Von opts to get double P-Shrek P-Grens rather than a pack. I think he should still get a pack, though. Big Ju-87 coming in here. Doesn't really kill anything. He had recruited this mortar team. T-34 pushing that off. And if you'll excuse me for 1 second, I need to take a quick sip of water. My throat is getting a little bit dry, a little bit stuffy. Katyusha's firing over here. We'll just listen to the beautiful Katyusha shots and watch it miss completely while I get some water. Ah, much better. Water is so delicious. So delicious. Whoever invented water was very smart. These P-Grens, massive flank, or what could be a massive flank, these Katyushas are pretty much cornered. They did manage to dodge the Stuka dive bomb. This T-34 is definitely going to get Fausted, probably just going to get picked off by these P-Grens, although they're up against the wall getting crushed. First Shrek goes off. Second pair shoots, out of control, dead T-34. Luckily it's engine damaged. The good news for Paul is it's actually pushing the P-Grens away from his Katyusha, which is barraging the side of the house. I think that was a little bit unfortunate. The P-Grens pop in the house, they're definitely going to kill this Katyusha. There's no way it lives. There it is. Huge pickup for Von. And now... those P-Grens just instantly shoot up to vet 3. He should probably just pop them out of the backside of the house and retreat them, though. I wouldn't want to risk anything, you know. I wouldn't want to risk that Katyusha firing back here, wiping the house, or just any kind of crazy RNG destroying this house and losing me that squad. Those conscripts are like this mortar. Alright, there you go. Good job, Von. Thank you. Please just retreat that. There's no reason to play with fire. That's a 15 kill Vet 3 double Shrek P-Gren squad. I think he's going to go to cap the fuel, though. If the Katyusha barrages this, I guess he's capping this little corner point. He should, if he gets behind the house and caps, he should be effectively immune to the Katyusha. Bombing run coming in right on the home base. He's going to kill all those conscripts! 2 more con squads down to that bombing run. I don't think Paul can keep up with this. Like, he is just bleeding so badly. He's lost so many squads at this point. He has a T-70. Oh, that was a really good mortar shot. He might lose that Gren squad. This T-70 can chase it all the way home. Paul should definitely go for it. I mean, it doesn't have a LMG or anything, but it's a 240 manpower wipe, and you really need to pick up those squad wipes at this point in the game when your infantry is so lacking. It's already frustrating enough to deal with the constant suppression runs. Katyusha firing at these Grens and mortar. Not killing anything yet, and of course, as soon as I say that, it wipes everything. This T-70 pushing it on those Vet 3 P-Grens. The Grens wanting to Faust it. I don't think they're going to get there. Those guys really need to retreat. If Paul is able to chase him, you might pick him off. One guy goes down. I would probably chase those all the way home. You're going to get Fausted, but that Gren squad's super low. Other Shreks coming up to save. I would have been wrong. I would have been greedy. I would have done what Paul did, and I would have also lost that T-70 just like that. A very good pickup from Von, as Paul has no mobile armor left. He's down to his one Katusha, which is Vet 1. Vet 1 Katusha's being very squad wipey with their precision strikes. Driving up here, I really don't know where these Katusha. Maybe he's just trying to move it every single recon plane. He does have a bombing run coming in. It sounds like it's over here. I think he's going to move the Katusha away from it, though. He does. He's managed to keep that Katusha alive against all of the Stuka dive bombs and against all of the Ju-87 AT strafes. These Flamer Pios, Vet 2 Flamer Pios, pushing in on the cons. I believe they'll win this fight. These are Vet 0 cons, so they're not super scary, and Flamethrower Pios are just, they're actually amazingly cost efficient. They will have to retreat here in a minute. Holy cow. That Katusha, it just drove straight into those Shreks. Like I said, I don't know if it's the bug or what it is, but I mean, those Katushas have been driving wild. Oh, this MG is definitely about to die. The gun is actually about to break on that machine gun too. Yep. Completely just broke there. Oh, this could be a huge grenade! Rip. Rip, rip, rip. 21 kill, Vet 3 P-Grins. As they just said, that's a kill! Or however they say it in their awesome German accents. Paul actually capping with a mortar squad. Desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess. Down to 87 VPs, no armor on the map, no armor in sight, because he only has 38 fuel and 7 per minute. Von, on the other hand, still has 58 fuel, it was 58 munitions, now back up to 63 munitions, 32 fuel per minute. Oh, excuse me, my throat. Of course, as soon as I try and cast a game, my throat just goes crazy. I think it's because I was working outside this morning, helping my father-in-law in the yard, cutting up trees and messing around in the dirt and all kind of fun stuff like that. My throat's been feeling a little bit scratchy ever since I believe I breathed in too much random crap. So one thing you do have to be very careful with, well, besides dropping PTRSs as tank hunters, is you have to be very careful with your weapon team or support weapon team health. This gray bar under their health bar does show you how healthy the weapon itself is. This mortar is at full health. As I was saying, you know, that MG42 was so close to breaking. One stray PTRS shot could have killed it. I don't know if the mortar ended up killing it or it had to be the mortar, because yeah, those conscripts that were over there didn't have PTRSs. Paul does manage to decap this VP, should pick it up, is running everything in here. Von can taste the victory, strafes everything. That has to be super frustrating for Paul to deal with, since, you know, he's 2 capped, or double capped to 1 cap, I don't know what you'd want to say. He's down 2 VPs to 1, this is going to get grenaded and probably all die on this crazy bundle grenade. Well, 3 men left, he's going to be able to flank it though. Barely manages to suppress him. And all of this, or I shouldn't say all of these squads, these 2 squads are forced off, and I don't want to say it's over until it's over, because I've seen some pretty crazy comebacks, but I don't think Paul can decap the VPs. There's no way he can reach that top VP, and all Von has to do is just keep his foot in the circle on this VP. 5 VPs left, 2 caps to 0, mortar picks off the Maxim. Yep, just keep your foot in the circle. And the game's over. Von giving the GG, and I believe Paul at the end also gave the GG back. So that was a very crazy early game into a huge comeback, in my opinion. At the start of the game, we saw Ivan just in this sector, basically, or in this little area of the map. He had a few strategic points and 1 VP. He didn't even have his own fuel, or I should say, I don't know if there's either side has a specific fuel or munitions on this map, because they're very evenly spread. So he didn't have any munitions, didn't have any fuel in the beginning of the game, and managed to make a huge comeback. I believe if I was Paul, instead of going those double Katushas, I probably would have rushed out an extremely fast T70 or even an extremely fast T34. The T70 is still extremely good at sniping infantry models. Excuse me. And Ivan had no AT at all. I don't even think he had AT in sight. He's never even bought a pack. Those double Shreks did a lot of work for him. Not getting the pack was probably the right choice now that I think about it, because, like I was saying, the pack is just basically begging to die to a Katusha shot. You know, every single time Paul finds out where the pack is, one of those Katushas is going to be barraging it and most likely wiping it. So it could just become, you know, a very big issue for Von. Whereas those P-Grens are mobile, and as we saw, the P-Grens had a huge epic flank that managed to kill one of the Katushas, and this Katusha kind of suicided into the P-Grens. But the P-Grens also gives him that ability to aggressively push for the Katushas, especially with the recon plane constantly knowing where they are. So I think it was a very good call for Ivan to forego the pack and get those double Shreks. Paul, I don't think the Katushas paid off for him at all. Definitely would have recommended the quick tier 3 instead, because I don't know how Ivan would have been able to push back against a quick T70/T34, whereas the first Katusha shots didn't do much. As for what I would have changed about Ivan's gameplay, I probably would have opted for a half track. You know, you've already unlocked tier 2, and the half track's only 30 fuel, which I guess if you think about it in terms of munitions, if you know, every 1 point of fuel is 3 munitions, you're giving up 90 munitions. But Paul, you know, going tier 4 didn't have anything that could really chase down your half track. You would have to be a little bit careful with PTRS flanks. But, you know, your half track can take quite a number of PTRS shots and back out of there. And I think it could have helped him really keep his MGs alive and help him stay on the field. You could kind of soft retreat from a lot of those Katusha barrages and just reinforce real quick. You can, excuse me, help protect your machine guns from those conscript flanks, especially if you get like the flamer upgrade. Although that requires taking tier 3, I really think Relic should probably put it back in the light mechanized company, you know, let you get the flamer upgrade before going battle phase 2, especially since USF can get such early light vehicles. I think it would kind of help Ostheer fight against, not necessarily the light vehicles, but, you know, you'd have an instrument of mass destruction like the USA half track or M20. Either way, it was a very good game in my opinion. There was a lot of death in this game. A lot of squad wipes, some huge bombing runs from Ivan. I have to give him a lot of credit. He really played this commander very well. I think some people will probably criticize me saying that, saying, oh, you know, you can play CAS, Close Air Support, so easily, you know, so easy a caveman could do it. But Von timed a lot of these dive bombs extremely well. You know, that's not something you can waste at 160 munitions per. He was really on point with his anti-infantry strafe, using it to just lock down this whole sector of the map. You know, it's just basically that strafe and a machine gun and maybe even one Gren squad. Really freed up a lot of his forces to keep harassing and capping this side, and he leveraged it very well, you know, for a good amount of map control. I think Paul needed to be a little bit more careful about blobbing. The AoE of the anti-infantry strafe is not very large, and it's only a single pass. So if you spread out your squads more, you know, having to retreat one squad or having one squad pin for a little bit, you know, isn't too bad. Your opponent is paying 60 munitions for that. Whereas there were numerous times where Von got to send 4, you know, 3 and 4 con squads home. And, you know, basically by the time the con squads run all the way home and run all the way back to where they were, it's just up again, which is kind of a never-ending cycle. So we really need to spread out those squads more. I do apologize for the scratchy voice in the beginning. It was pretty much fine. I thought I'd be able to make it all the way through, as this is not a super long game. You know, I've casted some much longer games than only being 34 minutes. If it's too bad, let me know. Maybe I can redo the cast in the future, although I'd prefer not to. And if you guys do see any good 1v1s on Kotu.org or play 1v1s of your own, let me know, as I'm always actively looking for games to cast, and it's been a little bit harder recently to find some games to cast. But I'll keep my eye out. You guys let me know, and thank you very much for watching this episode of Company Heroes 2 Analyses. Take care, everybody.